What's a tip that you could give to an agent out there struggling? Like, is there a one thing that comes to mind when you think about helping an agent get to a better place?
Pick up the phone,
Yeah.
you know? That's the big thing is, well, having a plan, right? Like, what's the real goal? Like, what's your goal?
Yep.
Is it to go independent, or is it just to make $90,000 a year, $100,000 a year? So you need to identify what it is that you really want, right? Like,
Mm,
I keep throwing this seven-figure renewal income, but then I got to figure out why I want that. So if
yep.
you are a new agent, very basic, just figure out what it is that you want to do. Do you want to sell Medicare insurance? Do you want to sell life
Yeah.
insurance? Okay, great. Step one. Well, how are you going to get a sell? Well, you got to learn a little bit, right? So do a little bit of training. But the next step is picking up the phone and calling your leads, picking up the phone. A lot of people don't know where to get
Yeah.
leads,
True.
right? So you just have to pick up the phone. Like, I remember I started with zero. Actually, I probably started in the red. Like, I don't like to say that, but I just wanted the reality of, I was trying to figure out how I'm going to pay my mortgage, not to sell my house so that way I can make this work. But I was willing
Nice.
to do whatever it took. Not everybody's going to want to do that, right?
Yep.
Like, not everybody's going to put their situation where they have to go live with a family member to try to make it work. Luckily, I didn't have to do that because I picked up the phone. I started just, okay, well, let me read the script that this person gave me. Okay, cool. It kind of works. Maybe I'll tweak it.
Yeah.
But picking up the phone, just pick up the phone. You could pick up the phone and call a senior center. Hey, can I go sit in your senior center and have a table? Hey, doctor's office, can I, or do you have a referral partner? Are you working with a Medicare agent to service your patient panel? Hey, Cody, I need some training. Can you help me out? Like, pick up the phone. The,
Yes.
the the phone is 1,000 pounds to people. I don't get it. Like, I'm just trying to figure that out. But I think it's um I think it's just either it's laziness or fear of rejection. It can't
Yeah.
be, or you don't have a phone. If you need a phone, let me know. I'll figure out a way to get you something.
Welcome back to CA Power Players podcast every single Tuesday, live at 8 a.m. Central Standard Time. Today, I got a special guest all the way from San Antonio, Texas, with the Medicare space, Victoria Cabrera. Victoria, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. Good morning, everybody, and I appreciate you having me and taking the time.
Yes, I love it. Dylan and I were just commenting, by the way. I'm telling you guys, you're tuning in. This is going to be an impressive, incredible episode. Dylan and I were just talking about the fact that Victoria is one of the few that have jumped on the podcast and have like perfect lighting, a great mic. Like, you could tell that you do some content. For those that are watching, obviously they like content.
Yeah.
I'd love for you to start out by sharing what kind of content you're doing that they could plug in to keep learning from you.
Yeah, so right now we put mostly content based to the consumer. When I first started in the industry, specifically Medicare and insurance, when I would go on YouTube and things like that, I'd look to say
Yep.
how to sell insurance or what is a deductible, back then. And so we basically focus more on the consumer. But what I've noticed is that agents actually go look at that content. So
Correct.
we primarily focus on that, just providing education to the senior community regarding Medicare, and starting to put more content more around agents and kind of like sales and motivation and things like that. So
Yes.
we're always evolving.
Yeah, no doubt
Important.
about it. And what you're doing has came a long way. I remember when we first met, you had tons of ideas, and you're really someone that also executes. Like, that's something that a lot of people don't do well enough. Is everybody has ideas, but none of people really execute their ideas, and you're clearly doing that really well. I
Yeah,
did want
thank
to
you.
mention too that like, when it comes to the content piece, you're doing it really right and well, because most people don't realize, like, with our content, it's consumers don't really find it, right? Well, with
Mhm.
yours, when you're putting stuff out to consumers, I think that's also a huge value add, because you're right. It attracts consumers, but agents also learn from it. So I think more of a consumer brand actually tends to attract both, which is really cool.
Yes, for sure, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I've noticed. And starting in the Medicare, when I did, coming to the industry, there was not a lot of insurance focused stuff about being an agent and things like that. So
Yep.
my education came around looking at other people that were actually putting consumer content out there. So that was
Yeah.
just in addition to what other trainings I was doing in the Medicare field. So it helps a
Yes.
lot. if you're watching, you definitely need to get on the train here.
No doubt about it. Yeah. And there's a lot of cool people to learn from in that space. I'd love for those that don't know Victoria Cabrera, I'd love for you to share your story, how long you've been in the industry, what you got going on, what you succeeded at, what you failed at, whatever you want to share.
Yeah, so I started working full time at a very young age, 16. I started off selling stuff over the phone, call center. That was
Wow.
always my bread and butter. Worked full time, went to school full time, high school. I was still in high school. I kind of gave up softball because I was really good at softball. But I was like, man, I really want to work because I had big goals. And my goal out of high school was I want to own a Mercedes in 5 years. Like that was my main goal. So I was like,
Whoa.
I can't do that doing softball. I'm not that good. I was
Did,
good enough, but I'm not that good.
did you
So
get one in 5 years?
Actually, yeah. I mean, it's not the one I wanted, but yes, I did. I have a picture. I got to find that. I'll post it. I'll post it somewhere.
That's
But
cool.
yes, I did. And actually, it happened earlier than that. I think it was in like 4 years. So,
Wow.
um, 16 did that. I come from I'm the second oldest of 6 kids, so we were a very busy
Mm,
household. Always kind of took charge with my younger brothers and sisters. So, I grew up really, really quick. In other words,
yes.
I think when I was 18, I moved to San Antonio, and I was like, I left in my Mercedes, my little 1990 Mercedes. It was I think it was like a 190E. I can't remember what kind of Mercedes it was. Um, $100, moved to San Antonio. I
Wow.
went in back into telemarketing, call center, selling stuff over the phone. I think I was selling like, I won't say the name, but it was some big, phone service, cable, things like that, or whatever was available at that time.
Yes.
Um, and I just didn't think about it. I just moved here, and I was always like looking for that, okay, now I'm making this much. How can I make this much? So I was really never like settled. I was like, I got to get to the next one. Okay, now the next one, and now the next one. So in 2005, that's when I kind of got into insurance because one of the big insurance carriers, they were looking for licensed agents to sell over the phone, and I was like, well, hey, let me give this a try. It was really scary because I quit my other job to get my license, and if you don't pass, you don't have a job. So that
Yeah.
really put some fire under my you know what. So yeah, in 2005, that's when I started my insurance career. Was always selling over the phone, so I'm very comfortable on the phone. That's kind of where my comfortable zone was. From that, again, I got into working for kind of like an LOA model for a broker selling PNC home and auto.
Mm,
No offense to you PNC agents. I have a lot of admiration for you. You have a lot of patience. I
yeah.
couldn't do it. I said, throw me into something else. And then that's when I started selling lawyer professional liability over the phone. I was much more comfortable talking to a New York State bar attorney selling their malpractice insurance versus, the consumer selling home and auto. So
Wow.
I grew a tough skin pretty quick because if you ever talk to people in New York, especially Manhattan and those areas, they're really quick. So if I talk really fast, I probably got a lot of habits from when I worked in that place for over 8 years. All over the phone, those Cisco phones that you guys probably still have them, but I was just dialing. We dial like 70 an hour. And it's funny, Cody, because I was doing
Wow.
the math the other day because I'm training some agents on appointment setting and things like that. And I think I did the math and I was being very conservative. Like, let's pretend I took 100 days off and let's pretend I only made this much. I think I've
Mm.
made over 1.9 million dials over the phone. I was doing the math. So I was like,
Woo!
yeah, since I've been working my whole life, that's just been kind of the thing. I think this finger sore because I was back then we didn't have these awesome CRMs that we do.
Yes.
So that's kind of where I started, and I wasn't really happy there. I learned a lot. I will not say that I did. I was very grateful because if I was at that time going straight independent, I would have failed really fast. Just I didn't have the knowledge, that tenacity that I've built out now. But so
Yes.
yeah, I want to say out there to people that are listening, because I know we're talking to specifically people that are probably agents looking to grow.
Yep.
Um, it's okay to start off in that model. I did. I was there for 8 years, and and
Wow.
and then in 2015, that's when I finally jumped into being independent. And I didn't know what the heck I was doing. I started off with 3 different uplines. I didn't know what an upline was. I didn't know what an FMO was. I didn't know what assignment of commissions were. I didn't know any of that. I was just like, I need to sell something. I need to pay my mortgage and my car payment so I don't lose my car and my home. So
Yes.
that was my thing. So I got to selling really, really quick. So,
I love it.
now fast forward, now we're here. So
Yes. Start from
yeah,
the bottom. Now we're here. I love that.
started from the bottom. Now we're here.
That's right. One of the things you mentioned was how you had a goal to own a Mercedes within 5 years, right? Right out of high school.
Mhm.
Um, how important are goals, and how do you continue to implement those in your business today?
So I'm really weird. So I know you're big on writing down the goals. I do that too. I'm very big on writing down goals. I might not write them as often,
Sure.
but I have a really weird mind. I'm thinking about it every single minute of the day when I'm driving. My
Yes.
wife will say, "What do you like? Are you listening to me?" And I'm like, "I'm sorry," because I'm already thinking about, okay, I got to go here, and then this is what I'm going to do. And it's like if you were to see
Yeah.
my brain, it's just like. Now I got one of these that you got that
Oh, I
remarkable.
love the remarkable. Yes.
Yeah. So I said, okay, this year I really got to get stuff written down. But my whole life I've always done good because I've always just kept it in my mind
Yes.
visually, and I'm just a visual type of person, so I could see it every single day. Like
Yes.
me driving it, what I'm listening to the car. Do I have an AC? It's very important about your goals. Is when you're writing down your goals, you do have to be very specific because the universe or God or whatever you believe in is very weird. You'll get a goal, but it'll give you exactly what you're asking for.
Mm,
So you got to be really specific. Do you want that AC to have
good.
car? Right? Do you want the car to have AC? And mine didn't have AC, so
Oh,
so that was
wow.
saying you got to be specific about your goals,
So you got
and
the Mercedes, but you didn't say you wanted AC, you know?
exactly. So you just have to be specific. So
Yeah.
people are really big about writing goals, and I'm all for it. You need to have a target, right? But you have to also like break down, like very minimal, like, okay, what does it look like to me? What color is it? Just
Love that.
be very, very specific. So you might have a goal to hit $100,000, but what does that look like to you?
Yes.
Do you get it once a year? Or do you get every month? Do you get paid in a W-2? Do you get paid in 1099? So you do have to be
Mm,
very specific in that goal setting. But I am a big
smart.
believer. I'm just more visual about it. I see it every day in my brain, and it's
Yeah.
there. So if you ever meet me in person and I kind of drift off, it's not because I really don't want to listen. It's because I'm just always on 1,000 miles an hour.
Yes, I can relate to that so much. We'll be sitting in the car all the time. It's funny you said that, and Lauren will look over and be like, "Where are you right now?" I'm like, what do you mean?" She's like, "Well, you're not present here, that's for sure." I'm like, "I'm
Yeah,
thinking about 4,000 things right now," you know? So that's
yeah,
so I'm curious, if you guys are like that, I would love to see in comments. I would love to hear about how you're also a little like you see 4,000 squirrels a day like Victoria and I do, like you're
yeah.
just always moving and thinking. Um, Also, I liked that, I thought it was pretty unique. You started on the phone instead of the field,
Hmm.
which is backwards for most.
Yeah.
How do you feel like that has impacted your career starting on the phone instead of in the field?
So when I started in there, I didn't tell anybody, but I had took a real quick 1 year break and went to work for a big bank. And in that I kind of got that face to face. I was a personal banker for a little bit, didn't really care for it. I didn't even know
Yeah.
how to manage my money. Trying to handle other people's money at that time was just like I can't sell something I don't believe in, right? It was just one of those things. I had a big like now going back to insurance. I always had insurance since I was
Yeah.
young, so I believed in having that, so I could sell that.
Yes.
But I think that helped me kind of get face to face with the person. But being able to sell over the phone, when I started in Medicare, it was always told that you couldn't, and it could have been I was not aligned with the right people. And so
Mm,
at that time when I started in 15, it was actually October 17th of 2015 is when I actually started. And they were like, "Well, you can't do it over the phone. It's all in person. You have to do retail. You have to do this." And I'm like, "Really? That sucks." Because I'm
yeah.
really good at over the phone stuff. And over time, I'd always been told this. And it wasn't until COVID hit that it's like, no, you can, technology is rolling out faster. You can do this over the phone. I started following specific people on YouTube. I found a few people. I started going through their trainings. And I'm like, well, you can do this over the phone. What the heck, man? I've
Yeah.
been gypped these last 4 years. I've been selling.
Wow.
So now, from in COVID, I decided, you know what, just in case, I know things are going to get better, but just in case, I
Mhm.
want to have a balance. I want to be able to sell in the field, but sell over the phone too. And
Yes.
I told my spouse, I was like, look, I'm going to do something really risky and you're not going to like it because I'm a risk taker. I'm going
Yes.
to go ahead and lock in a secure lease for our office space. I think it was like at the time, I mean, it's, to secure an office space during COVID, it's 2,000 square feet office space. It was in November of 2020 that I secured our office space, and my goal was to start creating a hybrid model of where the agents can come in and sell over
Mm.
the phone if they need to, but they can still tap into selling in the field what they're good at. But
Yes.
again, just in case you have options. Like I said before, I'm trying to take all the excuses out of the book. So if the senior centers get taken away from you, if your retail's closed, if the
Yeah.
customers don't want you in the home, well, guess what? You can come in and I have the computers, I have the Wi-Fi. All you got to do is bring your headset.
Yeah.
We'll plug you into our CRM, we'll plug you into the dialer. Like there's really no excuses that you should have. So that's kind of like my thing for 2022 is I'm making it like nearly impossible to make
Yes.
an excuse for the independent agent on why they're not selling something.
That's good.
Um, so I just feel very comfortable um, showing people how to do that on the phone just because I feel like those 1.8 million or 9 million dials that I've made, I might have a little bit experience like, okay, say this versus that, or do this versus
Correct.
that.
Correct.
Um, Now, one thing I will say is I'm a student of the game too. Like I never stop learning. So just because I have 22 years of calling sales calls, right? I don't see myself as an expert. Maybe some people might think I am, but
Yeah.
I still go through all the trainings that everybody else does. I'm looking at your YouTube channels. I'm looking at the trainings. I'm studying other
Yes.
people. And so I'm just a big believer in you got to always be staying a student, right? I'm
Yeah.
always learning. But you also don't want to get stuck in training mode either. You want to go
Correct.
sell something.
No
Make a
doubt
phone
about it.
call, pick up the phone.
Yes. Yes. What's a big tip? I'm about to move to the team piece too because you're doing a good job with
Mhm,
culture and morale and team and stuff too.
mhm.
What's a tip that you could give to an agent out there struggling? Like, is there a one thing that comes to mind when you think about helping an agent get to a better place?
Pick up the phone,
Yeah.
you know? That's the big thing is well having a plan, right? Like what's the real goal? Like what's your goal?
Yep.
Is it to go independent or is it just to make $90,000 a year, $100,000 a year? So you need to identify what it is that you really want, right? Like
Mm.
I keep throwing this seven-figure renewal income, but then I got to figure out why I want that. So if
Yep.
you are a new agent, very basic, just figure out what it is that you want to do. Do you want to sell Medicare insurance? Do you want to sell life
Yeah.
insurance? Okay, great. Step one. Well, how are you going to get a sell? Well, you got to learn a little bit, right? So do a little bit of training. But the next step is picking up the phone and calling your leads, picking up the phone. A lot of people don't know where to get
Yeah.
leads,
True.
right? So you just have to pick up the phone. Like I remember I started with zero. Actually, I probably started in the red. Like I don't like to say that, but I just wanted the reality of I was trying to figure out how I'm going to pay my mortgage, not to sell my house so that way I could make this work. But I was willing
Yes.
to do whatever it took. Not everybody's going to want to do that, right?
Yep.
Like not everybody's going to put their situation where they have to go live with a family member to try to make it work. Luckily, I didn't have to do that because I picked up the phone. I started just okay, well, let me read the script that this person gave me. Okay, cool. It kind of works. Maybe I'll tweak it.
Yeah.
But picking up the phone, just pick up the phone. You could pick up the phone and call a senior center. Hey, can I go sit in your senior center and have a table? Hey, doctor's office, do you have a referral partner? Are you working with a Medicare agent to service your patient panel? Hey, Cody, I need some training. Can you help me out? Like pick up the phone. The,
Yes.
the phone is 1,000 pounds to people. I don't get it. Like I'm just trying to figure that out. But I think it's I think it's just either it's laziness or fear of rejection. It can't
Yeah.
be, or you don't have a phone. If you need a phone, let me know. I'll figure out a way to get you something. But it's like everybody has a phone, right?
Correct.
Everybody has the phone book or Yellow Pages or Google now. Pick up the phone.
Yes.
There's a bunch of different strategies. I think I know it sounds so basic, like pick up the phone, really, Victoria, but really, I bet you if somebody's watching, they're like, dang, I haven't picked up the phone.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of that right now. Yeah.
Yeah. And what's the problem? Like, why aren't you doing it? I
Right.
don't know. We'll
That's good.
figure it out. If you need help, message me. I can give you some words of encouragement. Cody will do that too, but it's
Sure.
just got to pick up the phone, but set
Yes.
a goal, like set what you want to do first.
Yes.
Cool. And then go pick up the phone.
Yes. Yes. I did want to pivot to something too. You mentioned earlier. You said you had $100 back when you were moving, you were 18, you were, et cetera. Um, what was occupying your mind back then? Like, what did you do to go from $100 trying to succeed at business to the success that you have today?
Well, it goes back to like how we were, raised. We were a 8-person family in a 900-foot square home. So we didn't come from money, right? We came
Wow.
from we. My dad worked really hard. He was always kind of like a solo, not a solo entrepreneur, but he did side jobs and things like that to support his family. My mom was stay at home. So we didn't have a lot of money. But
Yeah.
what I did appreciate about that was the community around, because me and my brothers and sisters are all about a year and a half apart. So it was just like we were super tight knit, like unit, right? So I didn't mind the 900 square foot home, but I
Mm,
knew that I didn't want to do that when I was older. Like
yeah.
I wanted my own restroom. I didn't want somebody like, hurry up. And you get a minute in the shower, like I don't want that. So I also saw that the struggle that my mom faced and my dad faced with the stress and the anxiety and all the
Yeah.
emotions. And I just didn't want to carry that with me. So I made a promise to myself. I wish I would have had that letter. They make you write a letter in high school. And I wrote all these goals and things down, and they were supposed to send it to you. And I don't know where they sent it, but I wish I would have read that letter, because I
Mm,
bet you anything in that letter, it would have said some of the things that I'm doing today.
yeah.
So I just don't ever want to be there, but I'm okay with being there because I was there before. So I'm
Yes.
not afraid of it, but I just don't want to.
Yep.
So and my thing was I want to take care of my mom, and I want to be kind of that person, like if my brothers and sisters call me and they need something, which, they're doing well, but if they need something, I could be there. I don't have to
Yes.
say, I don't got it right now. I'm sorry. That
Yeah.
kind of sucks, right? So I've always said I want to be that person to help when I can, and
Correct.
also I don't want to be there personally anymore. So I did whatever it
Right.
took, whatever, and to keep my mind occupied from whatever happened back then.
Yes.
So I can guarantee you a lot of people that are probably successful right now, probably like maybe 70%. I'm throwing a fake stat out there because I don't know, but maybe I would say 70% came from like some type of struggle. So I want to kind of like
Yep.
let people know, like if you are in that, you can get out of it. It's not, and you're always gonna. It's like the stock market, right? Struggle, no struggle, struggle, no struggle. It's like boop, 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 boop.
Yeah.
And so you're always gonna go through it. And so you just gotta how are you gonna be prepared not to make it as bad as it was before, right?
No
And that's
doubt.
kind of where as long as I'm a little bit better, I'm good with it. And that's kind of my goal. I'm always chasing a little bit better, a little bit better, a little bit better, just a little bit better. And I'm not, you'll see some people selling thousands in one year. I'm not that person. I could be, but I'm not. I like my balance. I like my
Yes.
work-life balance. But I am like the little rabbit, or what is it, the little rabbit and the turtle, is it?
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
the rabbit and the turtle and the hare, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm kind of like a turtle, like I'm gonna get there, but I am gonna execute it. I am gonna do it when I say I'm gonna do it. So
Well, yeah. From my point of view, you strike me as like someone that's just like a fighter, right? Like you have like I've gotten to know you, you just seem like no matter what, your back's against the wall, no matter what's going on in your life, no matter who you got to help out or what you got to do, like you just seem like a fighter,
uh-huh.
which is really cool and a huge compliment, by the way.
Thank you.
Um, where'd that come from, and has that always been there?
Well, I've always been like kind of like a tomboy when I was younger. I was in baseball. I was the first girl to be, I think I mentioned this in one of your uh the what did we do together? It was the public speaking event that we went to. By the
Yes.
way, very, very good.
Awesome.
Um, um, I was always a competitor. I was the first girl to be in the All Stars for the Corpus Christi team back in I don't know when. The only girl to be in that baseball um, that that baseball team. I mean, there was no girls in that little series or in the league for that matter. So I was the first girl to do that. I was one of the first girls to be in boxing in Corpus. I didn't get to fight anybody because there was no other girls in it. But it's funny because I was always a competitor, but not the competitor willing to win at the sake of relationships, if that makes sense. Like
Yeah,
I don't want to
I
step all
agree.
over people, but I'll fight enough if I think it's in good, like if it fits me as a person, right? Like,
I love that.
yeah. And I love, don't get me wrong, I'll compete and I will do, but my thing, if anybody that knows me will say Victoria doesn't look at what other people are doing. Like I'll look to see how I can get better, but
Sure.
I'm not gonna sit there and dwell like, oh, this person has 1,000 Medicare clients, or like, oh my God, I'm gonna beat them because they have 1,000.
Yeah.
If I set a goal, I'm more in competition with myself because if I set a goal, I'm always competing with myself. And I'm just gonna look around to get tips, but I'm not gonna dwell on what other people are doing either.
Correct.
So I think the fighter mentality, I think you're right. I'm not, you know how they say fight or flight?
Yeah.
I'm not the one that fights. I am the one that fights.
Mm.
And so I don't know. I've always been like that, always been competitive, but always with myself. And I think it just comes from maybe something when you're younger, just the way you kind of
Correct.
grew up and just always fighting, whether it's the kitchen table, because we only had so many chairs at the kitchen table, or like fighting for the restroom to hurry up, let's go, things like that. But
Hmm.
it's just always been in me. I don't know. I would like to sit down with maybe like a business coach or something to kind of
That's
unpack that one
interesting.
day. But it's just always been there. It's very interesting.
I didn't
And it
think
kind of
about that.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
because and you're always fighting for attention when there's
Yep.
when there's 8 of you, right?
Mhm.
That's good. That makes a lot of sense. I never thought of it like that, but that's really strong.
That's why I talk so loud, Cody. I mean, because
Yeah.
I'm always, "Mom, Dad." I'm like a little I'm a whisper in a big, pool of yells,
Yeah,
But,
yeah, yeah, no doubt. And you really carried that. How did you carry that culture of family into managing a team today?
I do carry, I get a lot of that from, because we're still very close bonded today, and we do fight to maintain that. We're very fortunate. We have all of our family members still. Well, all of our immediate family members, I should say. We all support each other. We don't bring each other down. And so like I just think and one thing that people always have told us that man, I really wish we had what you guys have. And it
Mm,
was always interesting to me because I never got it. Like, what? You don't have this too? You know?
yeah,
So now when I come into my work family, you're with them 8 hours of the day, most of the time, maybe 10 hours, right? So you're usually with your work family more than you are with your at home family. So
true.
like, why wouldn't you want that around your work environment?
Yeah,
Why wouldn't you want to build that? And I build people up. Like my goal is to anybody that I meet is at some point I want to try to provide some type of value, whether it's a laugh, whether it's a cry, whether it's
yeah,
you need an ear to listen, whether it's financial, whatever that might be. I've just so I try to teach the people here to be like that. And they don't have to be like that, but if you try to bring down my family, you're out. Like that's
totally.
how that's how like protective I am of my work unit. And they'll tell you.
100%.
And I've been blessed to have, people that I work with around me that are believing the same thing too. And when I see people that have never been in the industry that just started with me here and they're like getting promoted and trying to implement the things that I believe in, it's awesome. It's just kind of like, wow. It's like kind of surreal. Like, whoa, is this really happening? This is
Yes,
weird. This is crazy.
yes. The the
Yeah.
there was a few things you mentioned about culture,
Hmm.
morale, team, that I would love for you to share because they were just really good thoughts and make sense why you're such a good leader.
Hmm. So one thing that we do when we have specifically with my internal staff, because we have our internal staff and then we have our team. Of course, we always have our Monday morning teams with all our teams every morning, like goal setting, accountability. That's number one. But
Yep.
one thing that we do here internally is I at least once a week I have them write down 5 goals,
Mm.
and I tell them, you're going to say these out loud, but I don't want you writing something I want to hear, because I have a good BS meter, really good. And so don't do that. I really want to learn what your goals are, you know? So it kind of brings that accountability, because you're writing it down and then you have to say it out loud and then we have to unpack it. Okay,
Yep.
well, you want to make 100,000. How are you going to get there? Or you want to have this marketing role. What are you going to do to get there? How can I help you get there? And so we get into this kind of like routine of writing the goal down, but saying it out loud so people could hold you accountable.
Mm.
And it's a really cool thing, because in our office, we only have about 4 employees here right now, but they all hold each other accountable. Like, I hear them, I'm in my office and I'm laughing because I'm like, how many calls, how many dials have you made? How many appointments do you have? When are you going to go to lunch? And so I'm like, man, my job's easy. I could just kick back now. I don't have to do anything.
That's cool.
But I think it's just getting them in the routine of kind of holding each other accountable. And I
Yes.
think that's one of the biggest things, is holding each other accountable.
It's huge.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's huge.
Yeah, so that I would say, I mean, that's one of the big things that we do. And then I'm big on listening to, I don't know if you know, I'm sure you know Andy Frisella. I listen to the MSCEO project. I mean, I'm always on podcasts, and I
Yes.
try to take things that they do. So I'm like, guys, if you see a piece of napkin, pick it up. Like, if you see the chair dusty, dust it.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, we have cleaning people that come, but the way you treat your home here is the way you're going to treat your home when you decide you want to get married one day,
Mm.
or when you want to build a company of your own. So if you build these
Yes.
habits at a young age, I was never taught that stuff when I was working in a call center. Nobody ever taught me how to build these um, lifelong characteristics and traits that you can use that'll better you in the future. So I'm just always like the little things. And then,
Yeah.
okay, Victoria, we want to be on time. We want to come to work. Like, I had to tell my sales manager, hey, you need to take vacation. She's like, but I don't want to. I was like, well, you have to. You have to. She's like, but I like coming to work. I said, but you have to. Like, you need to take some vacation. So do me a favor, take at least one or day here and there. And it's the same thing with the other
That's
other
cool.
people. So we just try to. It's the small things. And that might
Yes.
be different for everybody. So
Now everybody's going to want a sales manager like yours after hearing that.
right.
Incredible, by the way. That's so awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
How has Power Players been since you joined and been a part of that?
I like it because it well, one, it challenges me, right? Like something like this,
Yeah.
it's kind of, you built the anticipation, it's kind of your nerves get to you, right?
Yes.
So it challenges you to be better.
Mhm.
2, you're surrounding yourself by people that have already done big things, so you might take one thing and implement it. Like, I think I took something from, I think it was John Wetmore that said something about when he's recruiting. I said, okay, I'm going to take that and implement that in my business, because that'll
Yeah.
save me a lot more time and money if I did it that way. Or maybe I might take something from Emily or Rebecca and say, okay, I'm going to do these and put it in mine and make it my own. So you're kind of
Right.
getting like the shortcut.
Yeah.
um,
It's good.
but if anything, what I've learned is you have to pay to play. You have to pay to play, and it's going to make you better. Um, and it doesn't have to be a whole bunch in the beginning.
Sure.
You could just little by little, whatever is good for you, but do stuff that's going to make you better. Invest in things that's going to make you better.
Yes.
And then you can take little things and implement them in your everyday life or your business. So
Yes.
it's been
That's
great. Yeah.
awesome. Thank you. Well, we appreciate you being a part of it. If someone is enjoyed today and they want to reach out, they want to learn from you, they want to follow you, where would you like to send them, and what can you share?
I'm on all the social media platforms. YouTube, go subscribe. The Medicare Space. Everything's the Medicare Space. Instagram, Facebook. You can find me, Victoria Cabrera, if you want to be my friend on Facebook. But the Medicare Space is where you can find us everywhere. Pretty
love it.
easy.
Yes, very easy. Well, you've
Yeah.
done an unbelievable job. Thank you for all your time, and thank you for dropping some extreme value today on Power Players.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Have a good day, guys.
Thank you, Victoria. Appreciate you guys listening. We'll see you on the next one every Tuesday, 8 a.m. Central Standard Time. Thanks for listening to Power Players. If you love this video, you know I got another one that you're going to love. I got a video just to your right here. Click on that. It's going to be amazing. You're going to love it. And I'll see you there. They have a big time special guest. She's a power player. She's changed the industry. She's helping female agency owners really create an agency by design and a life